Today, I just want us to focus on some really delicious fundamental principles of Pilates. So those of you who know me, I had my baby 9 weeks ago yesterday. So this is where my body is at. And I know I've got a real mix of people, which I'm just so grateful for today. I've got some of you guys who've been with me for 5 years who are super experienced. Some of you I know are working post-natally like me. Some of you are nursing some injuries. So we're going to give you lots of levels, but I think the focus of today is just about remembering the kind of deliciousness that's in the detail. And even when I am at my best Pilates rise and I do a session like this, it just kind of brings me back to why I love this. So that's what I thought we would focus on today, and then just see where we go in the next few weeks with this, hopefully. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you all to do is if you all start lying down on your back. If you've got a ball, have it nearby you. You're going to need it in a minute, but you don't need it right now. And I'm going to actually just stay kneeling up for a moment, just so I can have a little look at you. But you're going to lie on your back. If it's comfortable, have your knees bent and your feet flat. If you would prefer your legs out long, I really don't mind, okay? But it just saves you moving again in a moment. So you're going to lie on your back. And I just want you to just take a moment to arrive into whatever space you have managed to cobble away in your home today. And just listen to your breath. And just give yourself a moment to arrive. To know that whatever is happening in the world right now, and we know there's a lot happening, is outside of your building. You can leave it out there. And anything else that isn't going to serve you, you can just allow to be outside and just allow yourself to just be present in this moment, to connect with the mat underneath you. Just starting to take a few deeper breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth or out through the nose, whatever's comfortable for you. And I just want you to notice the back of your body and notice the connection of the back of the body against the mat beneath you. And just notice if your left and your right side feel even. Maybe they don't, but just notice. Maybe notice where your mind is being drawn to. So if there are any areas of tension, just noticing them, acknowledging them, not being frustrated with them. And just start to allow your breath to feel like it can go a little deeper. And I want you to just tune into your diaphragm. Your diaphragm sits right under the bottom of your rib cage. And I want you to notice as you breathe in, the breath comes in and the diaphragm widens and drops down. And as you breathe out, the diaphragm floats up like a dome under the rib cage. Breathing in, it widens and drops down. Breathing out, it floats back underneath. Now, as you breathe in and it widens, notice that the pressure inside your abdomen actually increases. And as you exhale, the pressure decreases. And as you breathe in and that pressure increases, I want you to notice that your pelvic floor mimics what the diaphragm does and also drops down and widens. And as you exhale and that pressure releases, the diaphragm and the pelvic floor can both float back up. So I want you to really tune into these two domes that work in synergy, that do the same thing on the in-breath and on the out-breath. Breathing in, they drop and widen and flatten. They breathe out, they float back up. And often when we start thinking about pelvic floor exercises, we can be too quick, I believe, to jump to lots of strengthening work. When this synergy between the breath and the pelvic floor is really important, and it's often what can get disturbed with injury, with having children, through hormonal changes, just through poor posture. And it's something that for men and women, we really need to ensure that it's working in synergy. So if ever you want to do some pelvic floor exercises, you can do this with a glass of wine at home, sat down. Always my favorite exercises, those. Nice. And then just allowing your breath to settle. Now that you've tuned into that, I'm going to come and lie down with you. If you've got some spiky balls, okay, you're going to grab them and put them underneath the fleshy part of your bum, one either side of your sacrum, okay? If you've got one of these soft overballs, it's just going to go under your sacrum. And if you haven't got anything, honestly, don't worry. I'm going to guide you through that as well, okay? So those of you who've got the two balls, you want to position them in a way that it's under the fleshy part of your bum, but that your pelvis can lay pretty flat on them, that you don't feel like your pelvis is tilting back or forward, that it's pretty flat. And for everyone, what I want you to do is just grab your fingers and walk them around and see if you can find your sitting bones. These are the bony bits on either side of your pelvis at the back that we sit on. And we're going to use them today. So if you've got your balls, you're going to feel this a little bit more with the balls. If you haven't got balls, keep your hands there for a moment. And I want you to allow your pelvis now just to roll away from you. It's almost like you're trying to dip your pubic bone down towards your heels. And notice that your sitting bones get wider. And then as you come back to center and then you tip your belly button down towards the mat, notice that your sitting bones get narrower. And just move between these two places. So notice the back of the pelvis is round and it can rock. And as it rocks away from you, the sitting bones widen. And as it rocks towards you, the sitting bones close. That's it, everyone. Nice. And I want you to add the breath in here that we were just doing. So notice how as you inhale and you feel the pelvic floor and the diaphragm drop down, that naturally takes you towards this pelvis reaching away from you position. If you come to my classes, we call this 6 o'clock. We think of the pubic bone being like a 6 o'clock. And then as you exhale, your belly button could be 12 o'clock and you could roll back towards there. So you inhale, everything drops down and widens. As you exhale and everything floats back up, notice how that also just gives you a very gentle abdominal connection. And that can be really helpful in Pilates. As you inhale, you're creating the space. As you exhale, you're rolling away. That's it. Now, for most of us, that 6 o'clock feeling, that pelvis reaching away from us feeling, is a bit trickier. So I want you to spend a moment there. If you've got the overball or your Franklin balls or spiky balls, notice how that feels like your sitting bones are really reaching over the balls and going wide. If you haven't got your balls there, just put your hands on your sitting bones and just really encourage your sitting bones to reach into your fingers. But notice, are they reaching into your fingers because your ribs are lifting up? So as you roll back now, notice how the ribs get heavy. And see as you inhale and take the pelvis away from you, can you do that without arching your back up so that the space is coming from the pelvis? Our body will try and find space from wherever it can. And what we want to do is find the space in the pelvis. There's about 39 muscles, I think, in the pelvis. So it's not a case of just finding strength or length in one of them, but it's getting the synergy between them all. I'm just going to come and have a look at you as you all go back and forth a little bit doing that, because this is going to be the basis of what we're looking at today. So Mario, just look at keeping your ribs a little bit heavier for me as you send the pelvis away for me. Great. Nice. Chrissy, just make it a little easier as you go back to 12. So less of a kind of active activation, which it looks like to me. Just make it more like just like you're falling back in space, like it's just feeling easier. Yeah. And then bringing it away. So really you want to feel like this has got the least amount of muscles involved. And if you're not sure what that means, try and do this with the most amount of muscles involved a couple of times. Like really give it some welly and then let go of all of that And just see how you could do this with the least amount of effort possible. Very nice, everybody. Good. And then come and find a place that feels like center. And now put your hands on your hips. So the kind of either side. And if we go back to our clock analogy, this would be 3 and 9 o'clock on our clock. Okay, so my hands on the screen, if you need to see me, are going to be your hips. And I want you now to allow one side just to drop down. And notice how the other side rises up slightly. And then come back to center and go the other way. Now, on the side that's rising up, can you reach that thigh bone out long? And then come back to center. So if my left hip is dropping down, my right thigh bone is just gently reaching up. That's it, and coming back to center. Now I want everyone in the room or in their own rooms to be their own teacher. So grab your thumbs and pop your thumbs at the bottom of your ribs, so on the outside, and then use your index finger to find the top of your pelvis so that you can just judge for yourself that space between the bottom of your ribs and the top of your pelvis. And as you go side to side, notice, are you going side to side by actually lifting up one of the hips? The gap should stay the same. That might mean that you have to go a little smaller. This is where we start to notice maybe some imbalances in our pelvis. I'm definitely working on some imbalance on one side of mine. So where I'm noticing that my hip desperately wants to pull up towards my ribs, I'm actually going to really encourage my thigh bone to reach out longer. So almost like I'm lengthening out through my hip on that side to find that length. Lovely, guys. And again, I'm going to come and have a little look for you. That's it. Yeah. Is everyone able to manage to find that space, yeah, between there so that we're not shortening one side? Because that's what we do when we walk sometimes, is that we think we're keeping everything even, but actually we're getting these teeny weeny little heights. And then over time that starts to wear out our discs and give us lots of back pain. Very nice, everyone. Good. Notice does each side feel the same? They may not. And then find center for me. If you've got 2 balls, take them out. I know Claire and a few of you, sorry, Rachel, is it up there? I've got the big balls. You can leave that in for the next one. And we're just now going to do little circles. So you're just going to go, again, if you go back to your clock analogy, you're going to imagine you've got a little marble and you're going to roll it all the way around your clock. You're kind of joining up the dots of the 4 points that we've just done. And noticing there will be some movement in our rib cage, but we're noticing, is our rib cage coming up and down like too much? You want to feel like there is some connection and that this movement really is in the pelvis. At the same time, we're not holding anything still. So we're appreciating that there is some movement in the feet, there is some movement in the ribs, there is some movement in the head, but the movement is a result of the pelvis. It's not allowing the pelvis to move. And then let's go in the other direction. Maybe you're noticing that second direction is a little tricky for you. Again, can you go back to your breath? Can you notice where the inhale would take you, where the exhale would take you? Bringing that idea back to the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. The legs are staying relatively quiet. They're not waggling all over the place. Yeah, everyone looks really nice. Good. And then come back to center. Take any balls you've got away, just having a moment just to notice how does that feel. So even just from doing a little bit of clock, have we made some changes in terms of the feedback that the mat is able to give us? Take your arms out wide, palms facing up if that feels okay. No higher than your shoulders. So they could be shoulder height, they could be a bit lower. Bring your knees and ankles together. And we're going to go back to that idea of 3 and 9 o'clock where we reached one thigh bone out. So allow your legs to just gently fall together towards the right. So you're going to keep them together so that left foot is going to come off the ground. And I want you to think about lengthening that left leg out and away from your pelvis, and you're going to gaze over to your left side. So really reach that left leg out. You're going to feel that left hip opening. Your gaze is over to the left, and you're just enjoying a delicious stretch here. You're breathing into your left side of your rib cage. And then on your exhale, feel like you could send your ribs back first. That's going to bring the pelvis, and that's going to bring the knees. And then going over to the other side. So you're going to allow the legs to go over to the left side. Your right thigh bone this time is going to reach out. You're going to really reach it long so you can feel a nice, delicious stretch down this right side. You're going to gaze over to the right. Your feet are stacked, so my right foot is on top of my left foot. I keep reaching that right thigh bone out. I breathe into this right lung, this right rib cage, just to really open up through here. And then on the exhale, I'm going to really think about bringing my ribs back down to the mat first. That brings my pelvis back, and that brings my knees back. It can be really tempting just to use the legs to take us back and forth. Keep going with that. Go in your own time. I'm just going to come and have a little look at you all. So really reaching that top leg long. So you get a nice stretch out through that side. And then when you breathe into it, notice how that breath could just create a little bit more space for you. Very nice. Lynn, are you able to tip your camera down a bit so I can see you a bit better? There you go. Perfect. Good. Okay. We're going to come back to this in a moment to even yourselves out. So make sure you've done some on both sides. Come back to the center. Bring your arms back down by your side and take your legs back into hip distance apart. So the knees are in line with the hips, which are in line with the second toe. Bring your thumbs together and your index fingers together so you're making a little triangle like this, and put the triangle, thumbs on your belly button, index finger on your pubic bones, and then your hands are just resting on your hips. Your hands are going to be the teacher here. So just make sure that you've placed your pelvis into a position that feels like, as best as is possible for you, your belly button and pubic bone, that was 12 and 6 on our clock, are roughly level, okay? For some of you, that might feel uncomfortable. So as close to that as feels comfortable. And you're going to stand down into one leg. So allow one foot to really connect with the ground. And before anything happens, just notice how you can feel some connection through that leg, some connection under your hands. And that gives you a sense that the other leg could just come up with complete ease. Your hands are checking that as the leg has come up, your pelvis hasn't rolled back, so you're able to keep your pelvis nice and level. Your knee is right above your hip. You don't want it in too close, you don't want it too far away. You want to feel like your leg can just drop down into the mat beneath you, and then bring that leg back down. Now stand into the other leg. Wait for that moment where it just feels like everything is turned on enough so that the leg can just float up with ease. Good. Bringing it down. Notice as you switch the weight over that your pelvis is not rocking over to one side. Next time the leg comes up, just pause there. Allow that leg to feel heavy. Really feel like it's plugged into the ground beneath you to give you the support to bring both legs up. Again, using your hands to check that you've not used both legs, you've not used your pelvis rolling back to bring both legs up. Good. From here, on your exhale, just lengthen one leg away as if you're going to put it down, but when the toe touches, you're going to bring it back up. I want you to notice as you alternate that the abdominals get longer as the leg goes down. And instead of thinking about pulling the leg back up. Could you focus on the back of the leg getting longer to bring it up? So exhale down, back of leg gets longer to bring it up. Abdominals get longer to send the leg down. Back of you gets longer to bring it up. Good. Go in whatever pace feels good for you. Work with your breath to start with. Notice, is it really tricky to keep that pelvis nice and level? If it is, you might just want to go smaller. You might just want to go back to the version where you're on the ground, okay? So work with what feels right for your body today. If you're with me on this, next time both legs are up there, pause. We're going to go a little slower. So we're going to do our little toe taps to a count of 3. We're going to dip down for 3, 2, 1, and up for 1, 2, 3, and down for 3, 2, 1, and up for 1, 2, 3. One more time. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Let's go for 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's go for ones. We're going to go 1, 1, 1. Now, start going quicker and quicker and quicker. And just notice, where is the point where your upper body starts to lose its quietness? And when you get there, just rest one leg down and the other leg down. Very nice. Lovely. Great. Take your arms out wide again. Think about that pelvis staying nice in the center, just like we had before. Remember what it was like to have your hands there as you being your own teacher. Bring one leg up into that tabletop. Take the other leg up into that tabletop. Bring the legs together. Knees and ankles are together. So just like we did in the side to side before, you're going to take it over to the right side. It's not going to go as far. You're going to reach that left side out and you're going to gently look over to the left side. You're not going to go as far as you did before, just to a point where you feel like you can bring yourself back. And on your exhale, let your ribs bring you back. If this is too much for anyone, feel free to go back to the feet down version we did before. But I really want you to still think about reaching that top leg out long so that you can find that length. Good. Exhale to take it to the side. Inhale will feel quite nice to come back. But I don't really mind too much as long as you are breathing for me. Good. If anyone wants to, as you go over to one side, you could extend that top leg long, get a bit of a hamstring stretch, come back in with bent legs, over to the other side, top leg reaches long. Good, everyone. Your next version, if you want, is both legs would extend. Still think about reaching that top leg long, then bend to come back in and extend to go out long. Okay, work with whatever version. Just going to do 3 more for me. I'm going to come over and have a little look at you all. Keep the knees and ankles glued together. Still think about your top leg reaching out long. So you're really picking up all the fascia through that side of the body. You're using your breath to create some fascia length there too. Great, very nice. When you've evened yourselves out, come back to center and bring your feet back down, arms back down to the side. Legs back in line with your hips, so a little bit of gap between them. We're just going to do some bridging. So let's go back to our pelvic clock just to remind ourselves of something. So if we allow the pelvic clock to go back towards our belly button, so 12 o'clock, so we feel the pelvis roll back, notice that what's actually happened is there's a little bit of weight in the feet. It's almost like we're pushing away. And if we pull the feet in towards us, they're not actually moving, but if we feel like they're pulling in towards us, can you feel like that takes you into that 6 o'clock feeling? So as you press away, feel the sitting bones lengthening up towards the back of the knees. And if you keep sending some weight into the legs, could you allow that to bring you up into your bridge? Really feel the knees lengthening out, the front of the hips opening. Allow your throat to feel like it could drop back, but don't lose that space in the front of the hips. What I often see a little bit of is a little bit of sagginess here. So I want you to feel how you can be open, but you're not extended. If you do yoga, often you do a high bridge like this. I want it to be just an extension here. Take a delicious breath in. And on your exhale, just feel the back of your throat get soft, the back of your ribs get soft, like your breastbone could start to melt down. Think about widening those sit bones, just like we did in our clock, and allowing the back of the body to fall towards the ground. But actually, on the way down, what you're doing is creating some space in that pelvis again. Nice breath in. On your exhale, as you press the feet away and the pelvis rolls back, notice how the sitting bones have closed. The back of you has closed, the front of you has got wider. That's what allows the glutes to switch on. We don't have to engage the glutes per se. We just have to think about those sitting bones getting closer together. Take a breath in. On your exhale, really feel like it could be the back of the nose that starts the descent. Think about widening and opening the sitting bones. You're going to feel a little bit of a crease in your hips starting to form, and just allow yourself to fall into the back of the body. That's it, everyone. Good. And just keep going in your own time with your breath, just enjoying some spinal movement. Remember what we did at the beginning of the session, knowing that what happens to the diaphragm and the pelvic floor on an exhale, what happens on the inhale. Can you still remember that here? Good. Next time you're at the top of your bridge, can I get everyone to pause for me? Here, really feel like somebody has grabbed the back of your t-shirt and is pulling it long towards the back of the knees. So you not only feel the front of you opening out, but the back of you opening out. Remember what it was like at the beginning of the session when I asked you to drop one hip so it was a little bit lower. So do that here. So now your pelvis is on a bit of a slant. Not dropped down completely, it's just slightly dropped. Just like before, exhale, feel the back of the breastbone soften, widen and open the sitting bones, allow yourself to fall into your body, but this time you're going to feel that side of your spine, that side of your ribs. When you get to the bottom, roll to center, and then go back over to that side. As you come up, you're going to notice one side has to reach out a little bit longer. When you get to the top, square out. Feel the back of your body lengthen out again. Go down to the other side. Remember, it's not a huge movement. Exhale, as you come down, notice how many ribs can you count on your way down. Widen and open the sitting bones. Really create some space in that pelvis today. Coming back to center. Back over to one side. So we're kind of adding clock and bridge together. Good. I'm going to come and have a little look at you all. Keep going with this. Really nice, everyone. Okay, so stick with this level if that's where you're at, okay? Or you can just go back to a normal bridge. Next time you're down and you're nice and even, just pause so I know where everyone is. Okay, and then we're going to peel ourselves up again. Really work on this feeling like someone is pulling the back of your t-shirt long. If you're not sure, kind of use your hands just to slide, almost like a teacher, just kind of gliding through the back, just to encourage the back of you to lengthen. Bring your hands onto your pelvis again. You can have your elbows down if you want a little bit of support. And just like we did with our little knee floats, how is it to stand down into one leg, feeling that everything is switched on, so that the other leg can come up with relative ease. Bringing that leg down. When we switch, notice, are we switching and is the pelvis having to rock, or can we keep it nice and stable and bring one leg up? As you go, really focus on the standing leg, feeling like the back of it is being pulled long. That's what's going to encourage you to stay up and not sag down. Exhale to come up, inhale to go down. Just a couple more times here. Really feel that foot that's down into the ground, really feeling nice and stable. And then when you're even, exhale and coming all the way back down. Good. Are we all okay? Thumbs up if we're all okay, so I know everyone's good. Great. Fab. Okay, guys. Okay, we're going to look a little bit of chest lift. Now, I know I've got a couple of people on who've got some abdominal separation. So this goes to everybody, okay? Whenever we do any abdominal work, what we really want to be working on is that as we lift, the abdominals feel like they're coming together, okay? So sometimes you'll notice the teacher will come over and put their hand on your tummy. And what we're checking for is that when you come up into any sort of lift, that the abdominals aren't pushing out, okay? And that's important for all of us because that's how we get nice toned tummies. For those of you who've got some separation, the beginning part of this is absolutely fine. But what I want you to really focus on, and you can kind of check this with your own hands, is that you want to start to feel like, if you can see me here, that the hands are sliding together, yeah, that your muscles are doing this, okay? So I would do the beginning part of this and then just see how you feel with the next part of it, okay? So come and lie down for me again, guys. And I'm going to get you to bring the back of your hands together. It was a bit weird, so I'll show you sitting up like this. And they're going to lay on your breastbone with your fingers facing down towards your pubic bone. So the other way, Mario, that's it. Yeah, exactly. So you're laying down like this. Okay? And we're going to go just back to our breath for a moment. And I want you to notice how on your exhale, that your breastbone feels like it's dropping away from your hands. But it also feels like, with a bit of luck, that it is reaching towards where your fingers are pointing to. So it drops back away from your hands and almost like it's trying to reach towards your pelvis. And can you feel how, if you use your exhale and encourage that feeling, it starts to make your head start to feel like it could be light on the mat. On your next exhale, imagine someone has got hold of your elbows, and as you exhale, the breastbone is sliding down towards your pelvis, and the elbows are being pulled, and your shoulder blades can wrap around the side of you. Have a little wiggle here. So you want to feel like your shoulder blades are coming around that way. Your breastbone is sliding down towards your pelvis. Your pelvis is staying relatively level. And there, those of you who want to check, you can take your hands off and just check that you're not doming. You would feel your tummy kind of pushing up into your fingers, okay? You want to feel like it's not doing that. And then bring your hands back down and come back down, okay? So on your exhale, feel that breastbone soften. Wait for the moment when the head feels light, like the elbows are being pulled. And then coming back down. Just stick with this a few moments. I'm going to come and have a little look at everyone because this is going to form the beginning of everything that we're doing. Good. Nice. Okay. So as you do this, I want you to notice what's also happening with your ribs. So as you exhale, the breastbone softens, the shoulder blades come around, and can you feel that your ribs have slid back and under your heart? They've kind of gone in this angle. And that's why sometimes a wiggle can help you just allow that to happen. Just do that one more time and see if you can feel how on the exhale, really, the ribs, the shoulder blades are helping hold you up there so that there's not too much tension in the neck at all. Head should feel pretty easy. Next time you come back down, interlace your fingers, take the hands behind the head, thumbs down the side of the neck, elbows are in your peripheral vision. Now you can imagine now that someone's still got hold of your elbows. Still wait for that moment on the exhale where it just feels like your head has got light in your hands, but now you've got a bit of support with your head. So for everyone here, this is probably okay. Just don't come up too high, okay? So anyone who's working through abdominal stuff, just don't come up too high, and I would stick with this level. and then coming back down on your inhale. So use your exhale. Feel that moment when the breastbone feels like it's sinking, the ribs feel like they're coming behind you, the shoulder blades are coming around the side of you, and really, there's no tension in the head. Let's do that a couple of times so we can all just really work on getting an excellent chest lift. That's it. Good. What I want you to also tune into, guys, is that your pelvic clock isn't rolling back towards 12 as you come up and do your chest lift. So there's sometimes a bit of a tendency for the pelvis to roll back. Good. Okay. Let's build on this a little bit. So on our next exhale, you're going to come up. You're going to inhale, reach the arms long, take the hands behind the back of the thighs. Use your fingers to just gently pull as you exhale a little bit more to find a deeper curve. You're not pulling yourself up higher. Instead, I want you to think about getting the ribs back towards the mat a little bit more. Inhale, take your arms up and behind the head, and then coming back down. So we exhale and come up. Inhale and reach. Exhale, press. Inhale, reaching up, back behind the head, and down. Great. Couple more times for me. Let's have a little look at what you're doing. Super job, everyone. These look really good. Make this your last one. Nice. Come down, keep the hands where they are. Let's go back to our knee floats that we did before. So stand down into one leg, let one leg come up into tabletop. Then let the other leg come up to join it. On your exhale, come up and find that chest lift. Have a little wiggle if you need to. Take the hands behind the thighs. Gently feel like the feet are pushing away from you and you're pulling the hands in towards you so that you're not moving away as such, but you're able to just feel a little bit of torsion so that you have got a circle of support. So if you look at your arms, they should feel like they're working, look like they're working. From here, can you allow this position to allow the ribs to come back towards the mat a little bit more to deepen that curve? On your next exhale, imagine you've got some really heavy wooden clogs on your feet, and they're really heavy. And as the feet are kind of going down towards the mat, could the ribs keep going down towards the mat behind you to allow you to sit up and come and sit up nice and tall? Great. Okay. So from here, you're going to press gently into the feet to start to roll away from your legs. You're naturally going to find a C curve. You're going to notice that the ribs are going back behind you. Your arms are getting long. When they run out of room, drag your feet in. The heaviness of the legs is supporting you to stay in this position so that you can lay yourself down. Nice breath in at the bottom. Exhale, reach the legs away. Find that chest lift position. The feet go down towards the mat in front of you. The ribs go down towards the mat behind you. To come up. And when you get to the top, just pull in gently and have a little lift. Good. And exhale, press away. Drag the feet in. Inhale at the bottom. Exhale, press away. Ribs rolling back behind you. Use that circle of support. Use the weight of the legs to counterbalance the body. Coming up. Nice and tall at the top. Find that nice openness to the chest. Last one for me, and you're going to finish lying down. That's it. Bring your legs out long. And let's all roll over onto our right side. Okay. If you need to reposition yourselves, you can. You're going to use, if you've got a ball, you can use support. Otherwise, you can just use your hand under your head for a little bit of support here. You want to position yourself so the hips are stacked up on top of each other. And when you look down, you can just see the tips of your toes, yeah? So that the legs are slightly in front of you. Your top hand can come down for some support. Now, if you think back to the clock, we had our hips as 3 and 9 o'clock. Just notice a 3 and 9 o'clock stacked on top of each other. And if our collarbones were like a 3 and 9 o'clock, are they on top of each other? And if our eyes were 3 and 9 o'clock, are they on top of each other? So just notice that. And then can you allow the bottom leg to just feel nice and heavy into the ground? Connect through the bottom of your body. Notice the feedback from the ground. And then I want you to lengthen this top leg away from you. And notice by lengthening it, it floats up and then lowering it down. So lengthen it away and lower it down. Go back to be your teacher again. Find the thumb at the ribs, the index finger at the hip. And as you lengthen, only come up as high as you can maintain that space. So my leg can come all the way up here, but I lose the space in my waist. So I want my waist to stay long the whole time. That's it, everybody. Good. Come and find the point where your leg is in line with your hip. You can take your hand down for a bit of support now. And I want you to send the leg forward. Now, as you send the leg forward, think about the sitting bone reaching long so that you're able to keep the spine quiet. And then as you send the leg behind you, again, don't let those ribs flare out like we were working on with our clock at the beginning of the session. Coming forward, maybe a flex foot as you go forward, a pointed foot as you go back. Are you able to maintain the height of your leg? Now, if you need some support, you can bend that bottom leg, and that's going to give you a little bit more feedback from the mat underneath you to help you maintain that spine alignment. That's kind of where my body's at the moment. I noticed that when my legs are both out long, I was really struggling to keep my spine quiet. So it's much better to be here. Good. Come to the center, flex the foot, and with your heel, I want you to draw just little circles about the size of an egg cup. So they're quite small. And we're going to go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and reverse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just relax it down. Very nice. Let's do the other side. So maybe start with both legs out long again, just so that you can kind of tune into where that's at for you. And again, where are your 3 and 9 o'clock stacked on your hips, on your collarbones, on your eyes? When you look down, can you just about see the tips of your toes? Your top hand's there for some feedback. Your bottom leg feels heavy. Notice how if the bottom leg goes down into the ground, the top leg will just float up without much effort. And then bringing it down. Be your teacher again. Notice that space on your waist. Are you able to just lengthen that leg away so that you can find height, but without losing that space in your waist? Nice, everyone. This looks great. Good. Come and find hip height. Take your hand down for some support again. And notice, how does it feel to send the leg forward? Send the leg back. I'm definitely more stable on this side, but I'm going to go back to my bent knee again for some extra support. And what I'm noticing is as the leg goes forward, I'm really thinking about reaching that sitting bone away from me so that, again, I can keep that space in my waist. And as I send the leg back, I'm not wanting to send my ribs forward. So I might even put my hand on my ribs just to notice, can they stay pretty quiet in space? And that really this is just my leg moving. Am I able to keep my leg at the same height going forwards and back? Or is it winging up and down? That's what we're trying to work on. When the leg goes behind us, we're getting some hip extension. A bit of a stretch in the hip. As the leg comes forward, can you feel a bit of length through the back of you, through the hamstrings potentially for you? Let the leg come to the center, flex the foot. Remember that egg cup again. We're going to do circles in one way for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and reverse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Give a little rub if you need to. Come and lay on your tummies. And just like we did before, that diamond position, so thumbs together, index finger together, and your forehead can just rest onto that diamond. Elbows are out wide. Legs are reaching long behind you. Here, can you just do a little bit of pelvic clock for me? It feels a bit strange, but just notice rocking the pelvis forward and back between that 12 and 6 position. Find somewhere in the middle and just notice the weightedness of your pelvis, of your pubic zone, because you're going to need that. And then just relax there. Have a feeling that the legs are gently streaming away from you. So they're not hugely active where they float up, but they've got energy in them. They're not asleep either. Okay, so somewhere in between, they've got energy in them reaching long away. And I just want you to, without actually moving your arms, have a feeling that the elbows could pull away from each other. But you're going to feel a little bit of external rotation in the upper arm bones. The collarbones might start to feel like they could get wider. And that with a bit of luck, it should just feel like the head could float away from the back of the hand. Very small movement, and then coming back down again. But what I want you to really feel is this sense of the upper arm bones externally rotating, the collarbones getting wider, and the shoulder blades naturally start to want to go down towards your back. This is not a huge activation. It's more of a sense of releasing the bones and really focusing on the bones to allow the head just to move up. Should really feel like there's no tension in the neck. Very nice, everyone. Good. Next time you float up, could you stay up there for me? Really feel like you're pulling your elbows apart, like your collarbones could get wider. Take a nice breath in. On your exhale, could you think about sending your breastbone towards the back of your hands or the front of your mat, just to open your chest out a little bit more. Stay here. Inhale, feel like you could expand the front of your chest. Exhale, feel like your shoulder blades could just drop and soften a little bit more. Inhale, open the front. Exhale, feel everything soften. And then everything come back down again. Let's just do that one more time. So just notice the external rotation of the arms, collarbones wide. And then use your breath and encourage the breastbone, the front of your ribs, to reach forwards and down towards your hands. From here, slide the hands so that they're under your kind of shoulders a little bit more. So if you can see me here, my elbows are up, my palms are down. And I'm just going to encourage a little bit more movement here. If I send my elbows back towards my pelvis, towards my feet, could that encourage me to reach my breastbone forward a little bit more? I'm not even going into a full swan. I'm just in a baby swan here. I'm just encouraging the rib cage to open at the front. I'm not wanting to feel any tension in the lower back. If I am, I just need to bring a little bit more length into the legs and encourage the ribs to go forwards a bit more, coming down from there. Reaching the elbows back to allow the breastbone to go forward. Put a bit of weight into the hands, and if it's available to you and it feels good, I want you to start pressing down into the hand, extending the arms up. Keep reaching the breastbone forward. I'm going to reposition my hands to a place that feels comfortable for me. I'm thinking about my collarbones being wide, my shoulder blades softening down, length through the front of my body. Inhaling here. I'm going to try and keep my spine long as possible as I bend my elbows, delaying that spine, delaying it, delaying it, delaying it, and then coming down. Good job, everyone. Inhale here, exhale, elbows back, breastbone reaches forward. Find that baby swan position first, and then encourage it to keep going as you lengthen up long. Nice. Really here, think about the front of the body getting long, and then delaying the spine as you come back down. Good. Keeping the head in line with the spine. Remember, it's not a head movement. This is all coming from the spine. I think everyone's doing a really good job of that. So I don't want to see the head hinging back. It's just in line with the spine. Good. And then next time you come down, just push yourself back into a child's pose. Have a little stretch out for me. A little wiggle side to side with your bum. Breathing into the back of you here. Really feeling like you could create some space between those shoulder blades. And then just rolling yourself back up. Come to sitting. You can come and face me side on if that feels good for you. We're going to start cross-legged. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of rotation. So just take one arm out in front of you and then the other arm out and cross them over like that. Yes, if you can see me side on, my arms are just out in front of me like that. Good. Okay. And we're all going to rotate to the left. And I want you to notice here that actually what's happened is my right shoulder blade has had to slide around, almost like it's reaching towards the elbow and then coming back. And as you go to the right, could you feel the left shoulder blade? And what you could almost do is use your hand to gently pull to encourage that shoulder blade to come around a little bit more. Back to center. Use your exhale to rotate. The other thing you're going to notice is as I've gone to the left, can you feel how your right thigh bone has to reach out gently to give you some space? Back in. Exhale. So shoulder blade, thigh bone. Inhale. Exhale, coming around, pause, take a breath in. On your next exhale, could you just create enough space to rotate a little bit more? Could you pick a spot on the wall that you're looking at? And could you just with your eyes look to the left of that spot and the right of that spot? The left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And just when you think you're going to be sick, can you go a little bit further around? Very nice. Come back to center. Going over towards the right. Take a breath in. On your exhale, can you find a little bit more? Pick a spot on the wall. Just with your eyes, look to the left of that spot and the right. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And then keep going a little bit more. Very nice. Just notice how you're able to find a little bit more rotation. One more time each side. Exhale, rotating round as you've got a little bit more now. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, back around. Good job, guys. Coming down. Okay, we're going to find a Z sit. If that's not available to you for the mermaid part of it, then that's fine. But for the beginning part of it, let's all do it, okay? So let's take our right leg in front of us, our left leg behind us. And what's all quite good about us all having cameras, it's like we've all got our own personal mirrors, so we can see what I'm talking about here. So what we're ideally looking for in a Z sit, which is this sitting position, is that you're able to be pretty comfortably here and your spine is in the center. So for a lot of us, we end up kind of over to one side and then we kind of have to do some interesting things to try and correct it. So we're going to see if we can find a little bit more space in the hips to allow that to happen. So take your hand onto your left leg, that's the leg going behind you, onto your thigh bone. Just feel the shape of your thigh bone, that kind of roundness of your thigh. And I want you to internally rotate your thigh and notice as you internally rotate, the sitting bone comes up and that also starts to take you into rotation. Can you feel that? And then as you come back down, the body comes back, the thigh bone comes back. So allow that internal rotation of the thigh to start to take you into spinal rotation. And then coming back. And this time, as you go round, take that left hand and bring it onto your right knee and then press yourself around a little bit more. So you just get a nice stretch through that back leg. And then coming back to center. And as you come back to center, really feel the thigh bone go deep into the hip socket. So as you rotate, notice how the thigh bone lengthens out. As you press, it lengthens out a little bit more. Inhale here. Exhale, come back to center. I want you to now pause. As you come back to center, could you just pause when the body is over your right leg? Yes, so I'm kind of at an angle. And then just allow your body to come down. Your elbows can come down here and just relax. And then I want you to just take your back leg just a little bit away from your foot. So there's a little bit of a gap between that left leg and your foot. The left leg foot is flexed on the floor. And I just want you to lift that left knee up. Okay, I'm looking up at you so I can see you, but try and keep your head nice and relaxed as much as you can. So it's a small movement. The foot goes down, the knee goes up and down. That's it, guys. Yeah. So this would be external rotation. One more. Now keep the knee down and let the foot lift up. And this would be internal rotation. So some of you might be screaming at me. Good job you're all on mute. Okay, notice which one felt a little trickier for you. And then could you just lift the whole leg up? It doesn't have to come up very high. Try and keep the upper body as quiet as possible. And if it's available to you, you've got enough space, next time the leg comes up, could you straighten the leg and see if it could swing you round to sit yourself back up? And then swing it back round to where we were. Lift it up, straighten, swing back round. From here, put yourself back in your Z sit and just notice, is there a little bit more room on that side? Nice, okay. Let's swing it around and do the other side. Okay, so you might notice one side's different to the other. This side definitely feels a little bit tighter for me. Okay, so again, that leg that's behind you is going to internally rotate and it's going to take you into some spinal rotation. And then as you come back, notice how the spine comes back to center, the leg just starts to fall back into the hip again. It reaches out of the hip, it internally rotates. Use your hand to press yourself around, getting a nice stretch through the front of the thigh on that back leg. Coming back to center. That's it. Reaching out, internally rotate, press. Really enjoy it here. Encourage a little bit more length. Could the exhale get you a little bit more rotation? As you come back, pause when you get over your knee that's in front of you. Walk yourself down, elbows on the ground. Just allow the knee to come away from the foot. The back foot is flexed. And you're going to let the foot stay down on the ground and just let the knee lift up. And bring it down. And up. Good. Keep the upper body as quiet and as easy as you can. Notice if it's different on this side. Maybe your left side, right side really enjoys internal rotation and the other side really doesn't. Keep the knee down now and let the foot lift up. This would be your internal rotation. If your body is really hating you for doing this, I promise you, if you do this a few times, it gets much better, much quickly, really quickly. That's it. And then lift the whole leg up, swing it round, let that bring you up, bring it back, up, around, swing it round, and bring it back. Good. Next time you come up, try your Z sit. Just notice, hopefully. So this is something, if you struggle with Z sits in mermaid, this is a really good thing to practice, okay? So typically our hips get tighter, men's hips especially. I have not met any man yet who doesn't struggle with a Z sit. They just notoriously, apart from one ballet dancer client, they're notoriously get very tight. Okay, so from here, just bring yourself up to kneeling. I'm going to come this way actually, and we'll come into a high kneeling position, okay? And just like we did at the beginning of the session, we stood down into one foot to lift one foot up, and I want us to find that here. So if I stand down into my left side, could that give me enough support to bring my right foot through? And then bringing it back. Now, if you've got imbalances in your pelvis, if you're working postnatally, if you've had some back issues, you might notice this is a little tricky, okay? Don't worry, practice this. What I'm watching though, if I can front on, I don't want the leg to swing around the side to come forward. I want you to try and find that it can come through the center, okay? Now, I'm not going to adjust my camera so my head will chop off, but next time your leg is in front of you, could you tuck your back toe under? Stand down into both feet to rise up. From here, bend that back leg, bend that front leg. You're going to get a nice, lovely stretch on that back leg. Release the foot, bringing it back through. The other leg goes forward. Back leg tucks under. Be in both feet to come up. Lowering it down. Coming back. This is something, if you've got imbalances in your pelvis, if you've noticed that in the class, this is one of the things that I always go back to. It's a very functional movement to try and create some evenness through both sides, but it's very functional. So this works with your walking patterns, that both sides of the muscles can feel equally strong and equally lengthened. Good. Tuck your toe under. Arm back up. Very nice. One more time. Next time you're up, come and stand. Just find a place that feels comfortable for you to stand in. And if it's comfortable to do so, I just want you to close your eyes. And at the beginning of the session, I asked you to tune in to the left side, the right side, the back of the body, to how you were feeling. Just notice how it is to do that now. Notice where the weight is on your feet. Notice if your knees can feel soft. Maybe you could imagine that you've got a little hook on your head, and I'm suspending you from that hook from the ceiling. So I've clicked my fingers and the floor has disappeared and you're able to just hang here. How would it be just to hang, to feel like there could be space between all of your bones, all of your joints? Your tissues could be easy and long. Notice your breath. How does your breath feel right now? Have you got more awareness of the back of your body? Our parasympathetic nervous system, so our nervous system that's responsible for us feeling nice and chilled out and feeling safe, is in the back of the body. Really important at this time that we really spend some time finding it. That's what's going to help us feel safe and grounded. And as you stand here, notice however this feels to you. And if this feeling had a colour, what colour would that be? And I want you to imagine that you're in a mist of that colour. And as you breathe in, you're breathing in that beautiful coloured mist. It can seep into every cell of your being. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out anything that you don't need right now, that you don't need for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month. Breathing in your colourful mist, letting it touch every cell of your being. And as you breathe out, noticing that release of pressure, noticing the pelvic floor float up, the diaphragm float up. You could almost also imagine that the roof of your mouth is another dome, and the soles of your feet are another dome, and the crown of your head is another dome. And every time you exhale, could those domes float up? And then just allowing yourself to come back into space. Maybe you could notice the sound of my voice, the clock ticking, birds cheeping outside, the sense of smell as you breathe in through the nose, the sense of taste as you lick your lips, the sense of touch as you touch your clothing or feel the ground beneath you. And just allowing your sight and your awareness to come back into the space on a breath that feels right for you.